All right, everybody, welcome to Coffee for Closers. Today, we're talking all about the biggest mistakes advisors make in their early years of their career, new advisors, all that and more on Coffee for Closers today. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to give us a like, a comment, or whatever. And, of course, if you haven't already, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Thanks. Enjoy the show. Yeah, let's just do it. Screw it. God, Jacob, man,
I'm telling you.
Come on, dude.
You feel like
Is
you're in a
this
box
good?
here, dude?
Can I do? Yeah, I feel like there's so many more rules on this set. All right.
A caged animal, you know?
Yeah. Welcome, everybody, to Coffee for Closers. Alex Welligs here, Rick Kalmeyer. New set. We're liking it a lot. I am. You liking it?
Yeah, I'm a fan.
I like it other than when Jacob is yelling at me about where my mic is placed. I like that.
More rules over
Definitely
here.
more rules.
Yeah.
But we got a nice view.
Yeah. Got the trees, got the lake.
We just got overcast Florida. Yeah, which is, rare.
Yeah.
And then we've got, anyway, we're testing some stuff out. Drop it in the comments if you like it. But yeah, we figured we'd change some stuff up a little bit. See how this feels.
Mm-hmm.
A little conversation,
Yeah.
But we are working on some new sets, and so, that inspired the change, and now we're kind of messing around with different idea altogether.
Yeah.
Anyway, we figured this week we'd start the week off by talking a little bit about the biggest mistakes that new advisors make in the insurance business, or in the retirement planning business, we should say. And then later on this week, we would wrap it up with an episode about what the biggest mistake senior advisors or veteran advisors make.
Yep.
Right? So we'll jump into that. Some of the mistakes might even still be the same.
Yeah, they kind of go.
The biggest mistake senior advisors make is continuing making the mistakes that they did as a new advisor.
It'll be a very short episode.
Yeah, it's a very short advisor. No. All right, so let's, we didn't give a whole lot of thought to every aspect of it, but I thought it'd be interesting for us to just kind of go with our gut on what we think most new advisors come in with. In my opinion, I think one of the biggest mistakes new guys or new advisors will make when they come into the business is underestimating their sales ability.
That was the first thing I was thinking. Yep.
I think a lot of folks come into this with a very elementary idea of a sales process. Not that they don't have the chops for it.
Yep.
A lot of them, you don't get into the independent channels of retirement planning without some sort of test, whether you went to some captive agency and did a couple of that, you did some door knocking, you were, working for a solar company or something like that. And somebody talked you into coming into the business, and then you ended up saying something like, I'm just going to start talking about annuities and life insurance and just general retirement planning with folks. And maybe you found some way to get in front of an audience, whether that's through some sort of lead source or workshops. But I feel like a lot of times some mild success in sales breeds a disproportionate amount of confidence.
Yeah.
And then the return is such in this business that a lot of folks end up going out there with, a lackluster presentation. Let's take a seminar guy. He comes in, he goes, I'm going to do workshops. And he's, done some door knocking, mortgage protection stuff in his life, sold some life insurance policies. And he goes and learns a presentation through his IMO or something like that. And basically goes out and does a workshop and gets a few appointments from it, right? He practices a few times, whatever, gets up there, and again, he sees some mild success from it. People book appointments with him. He might close one of those, but those are the most eager in the business. And then because he sees some success, or she sees some success, they end up just repeating the process over and over and over again and never going back and working on on becoming a better presenter, and so it kind of breeds this environment where you don't know what you don't know. You don't know that you could be capitalizing on a higher percentage of that room. You don't know that if you just groomed this craft just a tiny bit more, you wouldn't just have the layup opportunities come to you. You would have, let's say you're getting 1 or 2 closes per workshop. You might get 6 or 7 with a better presentation.
Yeah.
That sways the audience a little bit better. And I feel like too many people go too long in their business before, and they can survive because this business is good. It's a good return.
And
right?
they have a natural skill.
And they have a natural skill, but they haven't put the work in to develop that natural skill.
Yep.
To go to a point until they see some other rock star presenter go up there and give it, and they're like, wow, he's just an incredible producer. No, that could be you.
Yeah.
Easily.
He just spent the time meticulously crafting it.
He spends time, multiple times, just grooming that thing and always tweaking it and always making it a little bit better. And I think too many times people see mild success and get stuck in the mild success world.
Yep.
Yeah,
because it's a self-fulfilling thing, right? It's like, I mean, I used to do it all the time. I remember I had like a speech class in like my sophomore year in high school or something like that. And I just knew like I was a better speaker than all the other people in my class just naturally because I just spent my youth kind of doing it more. So I just look at it and be like, look, I don't need to practice this. Like to go home and do it in the mirror kind of thing. All the things they tell you to do, memorize, don't have note cards and stuff. I was like, well, I don't need note cards. Like I can just go in and do it, give me a topic, and I'll talk about it for 2 minutes. And I scored generally a high B to a low A consistently. But, I look back at that time, I was like, look, if you would have spent 15 minutes thinking about it first, right? Planning it out, plotting it out, building a better speech together, like I would have had 100 with no question to it. But it was, I can go in, I can do it, I can wing it, and I'll get a good enough grade on it. And I think that follows through to life too, right? Of being like, I know if I can hop on a phone call with a client and talk with them, then, there's a solid odd that I'll close this. Same thing, presentation, right? It's like, I know Social Security well enough. I can go give a presentation on Social Security. I don't have to know all the slides or know exactly what I'm going to say when or have this thing mapped out. Like I can go give a presentation and more than most people will probably sit down with me, right? And it's like versus like the people you're talking about that you and I have both seen of like, this guy is an artist in the way he's presenting this. This guy is like planned it out, plotted it out. He has spent years doing this or a lot of time plotting this presentation out to have specific things that it still feels natural. It doesn't feel like robotic or manufactured, but you can tell he spent a lot of time crafting the scales on it. And I think
the best of the best, they would do one of two things. They rarely use their PowerPoint at all.
Yep.
And they've got the audience just in stitches the whole time. And they're really educating and they're drawing on whiteboards and doing that sort of thing. Or they're masters of their presentation from a PowerPoint standpoint, and they've got it like to the T.
Yeah.
These drama-filled moments, just boom,
click a button, and
click a button
happens.
Just like they're unveiling something, right? Like Steve Jobs was really great at that, right? These master presenters in our business, I see them kind of mimicking that style where it's like, I've got this presentation. The PowerPoint is as much about it as I am, and I don't need to look at it. I don't need to do anything. I know where I am in my presentation. I can get a quick glance of the PowerPoint, and I know the animations to a degree that know exactly what's going to come up onto that screen next.
Yep, and that just comes from spending the time and refining it and putting in the extra hours, right?
Yeah. Crowd work. I mean, some of the best guys work on crowd work to a degree, like a comedian would.
Yep.
And these are the guys and gals that I suggest, like, if you're a really good presenter, then do a dinner seminar. They're like, oh, I don't want to do any dinners. I'm sick of plate lickers. But if you're a great presenter, they don't get worried about plate lickers as much because they end up saying, look, I want a room full of people. I don't care if they're plate lickers or not. If they're generally interested in this, I am going to captivate the audience enough to where I don't care if they got a steak coming and that was the original reason. They're going to leave very interested in what I'm talking about.
Yeah. What I have is more important than a $30 steak.
Yeah.
Right.
Fortune Paleo does that really well.
Yeah, fantastic.
And same with David Connor does that very well. Brian Benham does that very well. And they really work those out, not to leave out anybody, but I mean, just
Yeah,
They're
off
just,
the top.
it's just off the top of my head when, these are some of the finer tune, like these are the kind of the people that I've pulled from to really kind of groom the craft to a new degree,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's, again, it's something that people take
Yeah.
for granted easily or don't feel like they need to do any better because they maybe settle for thinking that that's, I saw a good return on this investment. That must be the status quo, and I just
Mhm.
need to hit this on repeat.
Yep.
No, you need to groom this craft too because
Yep.
you might be able to capitalize better, have a better harvest every time you spend
Yeah.
that money. Anyway, second big mistake that I see a lot of advisors make: selling on specific product details,
Mhm.
caps and spreads, selling on the caps and spreads and the finer workings
Yep.
of the product versus concept selling.
Mhm.
The best advisors in this business do not spend time going through consumer brochures and explaining how this specific index works.
The 20-page illustration.
They don't. Well, I don't know that even the rookies go through the 20-page illustration, but I do know that people spend way too much time talking about the Mosaic Index or Robert Schiller and why he designed this index to do this. And, again, we've talked about it many times. It's like, I don't care what Robert Schiller designed that index to do. It is likely the actuaries controlling this product or the insurance companies behind this product are designing this product to get a certain return.
Yep.
That's it. And if it overperforms, there will be an adjustment long term.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So again, it's kind of pointless. But selling on those things glasses your client's eyes over. You should be the expert, knowing that if they ask a question about the Mosaic Index, you need to be ready for the answer for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the best of the best sales guys go in with the most elementary form of the concept in general. It's our safe money strategy. This is what we're looking to accomplish with this money. We're looking for it to generate an income. The reason we want an income is for this. If we want liquidity, we have this other bucket. If we're looking for growth, we have this other bucket.
Mm-hmm.
If we're looking for income, though, it's going to be provided from this product specifically. Now, I looked at a bunch of different carriers out there. I chose these. Basically, I narrowed it down to about 3. When I have these 3 options, I generally go with this one.
Mm-hmm.
I like the carrier for this reason, and this reason. Rule of 3. And then move on. That's it. They don't sit there talking about, and then this is the finer features of this. They sell on a bigger concept of, I'm putting a bigger plan together for you, and this is the piece I'm using.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm the professional, I picked through the hundreds of thousands of products that are available and picked this one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then, again, if the client comes back and asks a question that's more particular, they hone in on that detail, of course.
Yep.
And the idea there is, I'm going to bore you with the details so that you don't ask these questions anymore.
Yeah.
They really just want to know that you know what you're talking about. It's like, well, so how do they generate the return? Well, high level, very plain Jane example. Well, the insurance company is going to do this. They're going to invest it this way, but they're tying your returns to this index. The index, sure, could it do this amount? Yeah, but primarily we're looking for it to do something like this.
Yeah.
Right? Well, how is the index made up? Like, why are they tying it to this one? This seems like a funky one. Why not the S&P 500? Well, the reason we like this is because of this, this, and this, right? And they're doing this, this, and this, and this, and then it's this, this, and this. But I don't want you to get too caught up in that because, again, it's all just about this thing here.
Yeah.
So if a client wants to go there, I'll go there. The best of the best will go there.
Yeah.
But they won't go there unless prompted to, because no need to overcomplicate the things.
Yeah.
And too many new advisors go, man, I just learned all this great information. I can't wait to flex that knowledge on everybody I talk to,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I could take 2 hours to explain one product in a full detail, right?
Yeah.
Easily. Sit me down with any product you want to and explain how the product fully works, all the features of it, how that works, why it's important, the, annual versus monthly versus biannual, a 5-year strategy, right? Like, you could take 2 hours to just explain how an annuity works, and that's to you versus I, right, where we could talk about it, let alone to a client where it's like, all right, now we have to explain what a par rate is. Now we have to explain what a floor is. Now we have to explain the general account versus separate,
Oh, if I ever hear an advisor mention general account.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
We are way, like Jordan Belfort talks a
Yeah.
lot about Pluto and
Yeah.
Uranus, right? Like we've got to stay between these two barriers, metaphorically barriers, where if we get too far off track, we're losing the sale.
Yep.
That's what happens. You start mentioning general accounts, you're losing them.
Yeah.
Honestly, you mention too much about the account value and the income value and the PIV and how interest is credited to this account versus this account. You're very, very close. I know that seems like it's product details we have to cover with the client. Look, you're a professional. You do need to cover some of these things with them.
Yeah.
But you do not need to make it a stressing point.
Yeah, a 15-minute conversation to say, look,
about how the PIV or something like that works and why it's important and how, this works and this works and this works. It can be that I pick this product because there's generally two accounts. There's your account value and there's your income account value. Typically, this is just fake money. Means nothing.
Yep.
Right? But they allow us to take this account over 5 years if there is a death.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason we like that is because it can generally be a much higher account value than this one.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go into more detail, but primarily that's the reason why we're picking this product.
Absolutely. I'm looking at this. We're going to use this number as the factor of what we're going to generate your income from, and that's what it's going to be. And if you happen to die, what your benefit would receive would be this number over here.
I'm going to spend more time. I see more advisors spending more time on some of the negatives that are involved in an annuity than just on positives.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me talk to you about some of the negatives, just to make it sound, again, this is going to accomplish everything we need.
Yeah.
This is what we're looking for. And I know that sounds too good to be true. So let me spend a little time on why it's not too good to be true.
Yep. Absolutely. You need that.
You have to talk
Every
about
consumer
the cost.
needs that.
And they explain it much more in depth. Because they're worried about chargebacks and things coming undone, and that's what a seasoned advisor does. Is they spend the time because they know that it's just. They know that it's just to have these surrender charges here or this fee attached to this because we're looking to accomplish this thing.
Yep.
Sounds too good to be true. Let me fix it.
Yep.
Let me show you why it's not too good to be true. These are the costs associated. Here's why those costs don't matter.
And why they're needed to accomplish what we're doing.
Exactly. And again, it ends up being this, almost counterintuitive approach. I was talking with a newer advisor, I should say. Definitely new to us, but newer advisor in general, 5 years in the business, something like that. And we were talking about 30-day look, and they were saying, you actually mentioned the 30-day look?
Yeah.
So I mentioned the 30-day look because I've seen so many great advisors mention the 30-day look.
Yeah.
And what do I mean? Well, the client has 30 days to free look the policy and undo it. It's like, it's a safety mechanism for people that feel like this is a big decision and not to be made erratically, but I know I need to act quickly.
Yep.
It aids in the sale of urgency, right? It aids you in saying, if I mention this 30-day free look, it's like, look, you still have protection measures built in. Yes, we need to execute this today. But I want you to know that if any day in this 30 days you decide this isn't for you, we can undo this and we can figure out a better solution that does fit your needs a little bit better, right? Not that they're going to walk away from me in general, but I'm here if in the next 30 days, yes, this sounds good today, but spending the next 3 weeks trying to think of an objection that we don't initially have just because we're worried that we don't want to make some big long-term commitment on something in such a short period of time. Just know we've got the next 30 days to really come up with any pain points, but we need to act today because the market's a variable thing. We don't want to lose any of this. We want to secure things, blah, blah, blah. Right? I, the first time I saw it, I remember thinking man, you're spending a lot of time talking about undoing this policy and surrender charges and all the negatives and not pitching enough on value. You're just going to scare people away, but I just see it working all the time.
Yeah.
All the time with our bests.
Yeah. I mean, what's there's Carvana now or something like that gives you a month or something like that. You buy your car online to drive it for, I think you get a month. It's either a week or a month you get to drive it and just return it, right?
Built in the culture now, People wanting to do demos. The software world does that more than anybody. You know, and then my last big mistake, we'll stick to the rule of threes.
Yeah,
I'm
stick
such
to the
a
threes.
three guy.
Big fan of
I'm a
it.
big three guy.
Yeah.
My last big rule would, or no that new advisors make is like a lack of follow up on people. They have no ability to work anything beyond the initial opportunities. They don't know how to harvest. They just strictly go with the low hanging fruit constantly.
That's funny. That was your third, because that was my, I guess, last one I wanted to say, and a little bit more of a different facet of like not looking at people's businesses long term. And I don't know if maybe those two come from the same root of thing, whether it's an inability or a lack of attention to it.
What do you mean?
I mean the same thing you're saying, where it's a lack of follow up. If you do a workshop and don't close a deal within 30 days, you stop paying attention to those clients. Even if it was a good second appointment or something like that, or fall off. And I think maybe working at it is stemming from two different thought processes or problems. Yours is saying not having a system set up to do follow up. Mine is saying people focusing more on the next workshop that they have coming up rather than the past clients they had and what's going to happen next year, if that makes sense. Like not setting up a proper business plan.
Yeah.
Because I think if you had a business plan set up and a business kind of mindset towards running it, then you would follow up with those people, right? If you were looking at it saying like, what am I going to do next year and the year after that and the year after that, and I want like 5 years planned out of clients, and if I could do that, I can fill my funnel up for the next 5 years, then all those people from the workshops and the appointments, you'd still be scheduling out 6 months a year, 6 months a year, right?
That's exactly right. You just put that so beautifully. I mean, it is so true. If people could more likely think about their business and the investments they make in marketing as these are prospects I plan to harvest over the next 5 years, rather than folks I plan to harvest in the next 30 days and then I'm moving on. Right? Find a way. Then people would approach it more frequently with like, I'm going to go and I'm going to have an initial offer to make them a client of mine, which is such a rooted, fundamental thing of the strategy here, right? When we talk with advisors, fundamental thing. You've got to have something to harvest all clients. Anybody that walks in, treat them like a client. Find a way to lock them in, whether on a less threatening thing, rather than if it's not going to work for retirement planning advice, just full retirement planning. So think of it from a 5-year strategy rather than from like a 1-year strategy
or a month.
Because if I'm spending $5-6 grand on a marketing campaign and I yield, let's say 40 opportunities from that, and I'm closing 2, I just lost 38 interested buyers. Those were 38 people that had an interest in what I talk about for a living. Social Security, some aspect of it, whatever I presented on. Or if it's a lead source, whatever that lead source was about. Right? And I'm doing nothing after 30 days, generally with new advisors, to really follow up. Or after my 3rd phone call reaching out, it's like, such a waste of my time. Like, not necessarily. You're just not striking them at the right time, but it doesn't mean you didn't pay a lot of money for that name. And now you've got the name, and you're doing nothing with it to harvest your business later on. And so find a opportunity in your presentation, add some sort of little caveat. That's what the best do. They go up, they're like, okay, look, not only are we going to do a Social Security analysis, but we're also here, like maybe you're sitting here, you've learned everything you want to learn about Social Security. I do always want to let everybody know within our community that we offer a very cheap tax return service, just as a well, it's a good way to keep my tax preparers happy at the office, but 2, just as a good service for the community. And, it allows you to get to know us a little bit better. We've been in this area for a really long time. We're a financial firm. Does not mean you need to do business with us as a financial firm. Maybe you have a guy you like. But it's a good way for us to get to know you, get the word out about our company, and and do your taxes done for cheap, and they'll offer a tax return service. Or they'll do MedSup, or they'll do some sort of supplement benefit. But they do something to make them part of the family. And then eventually they do client appreciation events. They do client-specific workshops. They do all kinds of like lunch and learn stuff. And they're inviting these people constantly. Eventually they're going to see you as this great, wise person. And if they have something happen to them, they end up asking you something. And that crop might get yielded 5 years from now. is what you're kind of
Absolutely.
saying.
And if you're going to be in the business that long, then why not do it? Right?
Well, if you're getting into this business, you better be in it for at least 5 years.
Right.
Or you're never going to see yourself hitting these big numbers, right? Very rarely does somebody stay in here less than 5 years and hit the 10 million mark.
Yep.
Very, very rarely. Not without some serious coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
That might be the fourth opportunity would be have a coach, have a real mentor.
Yeah.
You know, that is willing to give you real coaching and strategic advice.
Yep.
But
Huge.
anyway, all good stuff. Thanks for guys for watching, entertaining, all that stuff. We later on this week we will do another episode about some of the biggest mistakes senior advisors make. But I hope you enjoy this. If you're a new advisor watching, or you have questions about anything that we talked about, all these things, we are very familiar about solving these problems. We're happy to help anybody with any of those questions. Just leave them in the comments, I guess. If you're new to watching, this is your first episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a like, comment, whatever. It all helps. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Enjoy the rest of your days. Thanks. We'll see you next time on Coffee for Closers.
Awesome.
See ya. But have you seen Pitch Black? It's good. It's a good movie, but you're doing this the whole time. It's a lot of the movies Pitch Black.